What would I do different about the caregiving experience? Actually, I don't know that I would do a whole lot different. My husband Roger was diagnosed with Alzheimer's in 2009, and I took care of him for 9 years till he passed away in July of 2018.
I was a caregiver for my loved one for 9 years until he passed away 3 years ago due to Alzheimer's.
I'm taking care of my dad, John. He was diagnosed with early stages Alzheimer.
When I recognized that my husband needed help was after a couple of things happened that normally he did really well, all of a sudden became difficult for him. Like, he was a general contractor, and in his work he was starting to have difficulty, like remembering. He'd measure something with his tape measure and then go to cut the wood and go back and have to measure again because he couldn't remember, or to read it correctly.
So what happened was he went to Walmart, tried to drive back home, lost his way. Ended up in 2 towns past Merced, over into Chowchilla area.
He started acting different. What I mean is that he was verbally abusive sometimes or forgetful, and he would repeat himself over and over and over.
I go out to my dad's and see what he's doing right now.
If I understand the word invisible love, I love my loved one. Unconditional. There was days there were good moments and there was days there were bad moments, and I would just walk out of there with tears in my eyes and say, I love you so much, if you could only understand.
The biggest surprise for me in my journey was probably how hard it was and not being able to do it all myself, because you can't sleep through the night. You can't leave him for a minute. I was at the computer in my den for just a very few minutes. I came back, I walked back in the hallway and I smelled gas. And what he had done was, I have a gas stove, and he had turned the knob, not to the ignition point, but just enough where gas, and it must have been on for 2 or 3 minutes. It filled the house. So that day was the day I took all the knobs off the stove.
Self-care to me was something I did not practice. My loved one came first before my husband, my grandchildren, or my children. I didn't know what self-care was.
I had to quit my job early to take care of him full time, and then after a couple of years of that, I realized that I couldn't do the job I wanted to do by myself. I had to get help in the home, and then eventually I had to put him in a care facility where he could have 24 hours of care, not by a tired person like I was becoming.
And that's one of the reasons why I like in-home care, because I can go out to visit him. If he were in a facility and they had a COVID outbreak or whatever, and they'd lock it all down, I can't get in and see my dad.
What concerned me most about my husband was the fact that there was no cure, and that eventually he was going to die, and that he would forget who we were.
My biggest concern was that I was not meeting their needs or our needs.
It's, I hate to say it, but I'd almost rather him have a heart attack and go than have to endure and I think as much as we prepare for the eventual end, we're not going to be prepared.
What advice would I give to someone? Just take it day by day, step by step. I've had many people tell me, I don't know how you did it. I don't know how you did it. And it's not like you need a superpower. You just need to be willing to take the next step.